Back with another album review. Today's review is on Yokan from Deftones. This is the seventh studio album from Deftones, and it's a follow-up to Diamond Eyes, which I talked about last time. Before I go any further, I need to mention that the title of this album is actually Japanese for Premonition of Love. This album was recorded at three different studios: Paramount in Los Angeles, American in Hollywood, and Encore in Hollywood. Just like last time, it was produced by our good friend Nick Raskalinix. However, this time Matt Hyde was credited with additional production, and he would go on to produce the follow-up to this album, which I'll get to in a few weeks. Now, this album was released on November 12th, 2012 under Reprise. This album is mainly centered around alternative metal, though there are some elements of experimental rock, alternative rock, shoegaze, dream pop, post-rock, progressive rock, doom metal, and groove metal. Now, anyone listening to this album will notice the experimental elements that were brought over from Saturday Night Wrist and Diamond Eyes. Now to talk about the songs. This album starts with Swerve City, which was released as a single on March 30th, 2013. This song in particular shows the elements of shoegazing and groove metal. Now, there were actually two different music videos that were made for this song. One was directed by Gus Black and was released on May 9th, 2013. The other was directed by Ryan McFall and was released on July 2nd of the same year. I'm going to post links to both music videos in the description. Overall, this is a great song and starts the album off very well. I'm also going to mention that this is also the shortest song on the album. Next is Romantic Dreams, which was released as a single on September 24th, 2013. This is actually the fourth and final single from this album. There are more elements of shoegazing within this song. It also fits within the overall tone of the album. Up next is Leathers, which was the first single from this album. The single was released on September 19th, 2012, which was almost 2 months before the album. This song is actually it's actually heavier than the first two songs. Although this is one of my favorite songs from the album, it's a shame that there was no music video for it. I still enjoy it though. Up next is Poltergeist. Obviously, the title is not to be confused with the movie of the same name. It's interesting how this album was released 30 years after the movie. And the song also incorporates some elements of doom metal as well as dream pop in a way. It's followed up by Entombed. The song really shows the influences of dream pop. If you don't believe me, then listen to it for yourself. That's followed up by Graphic Nature, which is another great song. The next song is called Tempest, which I believe is actually the most popular song from this album. It was actually the second single from the album, and the single was released on October 2nd, 2012. Now, that was actually a month before the release of the album. The song is mainly centered around alternative metal, but there are some elements of post-metal. This also helps the song sound more atmospheric. Supposedly, the lyrics are about the end of the world that would have happened on December 21st, 2012. Of course, that end of the world never actually happened. What's really awesome is the fact that this song was featured in the film Furious 7 from 2015, which is my favorite of the Fast and Furious movies. Now, the single peaked at number 3 on the U.S. mainstream the U.S. hot mainstream rock tracks, meaning that surpassed Change in the House of Flies as Deftones' most successful single. I read that Consequence of Sound placed this as number 2 on their list of the top 20 Deftones songs. And as for my opinion on it, I personally think this is the best song from this album, as well as one of my personal favorites. Hell, I'd even go as far as to call this one of my all-time favorite Deftones songs. It's also the first song that I heard from this album. Follow that up with Gauze. It also incorporates some elements of doom metal. And that'll explain why the song is so heavy. The next song is Rosemary, which was actually a B-side from the Leather single. Of course, it's not to be confused with the song Dear Rosemary from Foo Fighters, despite having a similar title. And this has to be the longest song on this album at 6 minutes and 53 seconds in length. It's also my favorite song from this album. It's another one of my favorite Deftones songs. If you listen to this song, you will notice that there are some elements of post-metal, doom metal, and dream pop. Now, the dream pop elements really give the song a more atmospheric sound to it. Goon Squad is after that. This is another song that has some elements of post-rock. This album ends with What Happened to You. Now, from what I read is that this album debuted at number 11 on the Billboard 200. It's also number 5 on the top alternative albums, number 2 on the top hard rock albums, and number 5 on the top rock albums. It ended up selling over 65,000 copies within the U.S. and it ended up selling over 65,000 copies in the U.S. within the first week. It later sold over 214,000 copies as of March of 2016. Now, this album was received very well from critics. In fact, it has an 86 on Metacritic, whereas Diamond Eyes has a 78. As for my opinion on it, I think this is a great album. Although I don't find it to be as good as Diamond Eyes, I still find it to be a great album overall. Seems that Nick Raskulinecz always knows how to produce a great album, which is why he's my favorite producer. I definitely recommend this album, especially if you like Diamond Eyes, which I thought was a better album. And it's strange to think that this album's 10th anniversary is actually next year at the time of making this video. Now's the part where I question you. Have you listened to this album? If so, what are your thoughts on it? What's your favorite song from it? Do you think this album is better than Diamond Eyes? Let me know in the comments. If you like the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to hit the notification bell to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with another video.